Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's Mayor's Update. As always, we have a lot of important information to share with you here this week, so please feel free to share this video with your friends, family, relatives, and anyone else who you think might find this information helpful over the course of the coming week. I'd like to start off by saying thank you to Congresswoman Lori Trahan. This past week, Congresswoman Trahan visited Gardner for a quick tour of some of the different projects that are utilizing federal funding here in Gardner. We started over at the Community Health Connections new facility over on Timpani Boulevard. That facility houses urgent care, primary care, medical doctors' offices, dental offices, and mental health and behavioral counseling. This is actually the CHC's second location in Gardner. They do have their first location over behind City Hall on Knowlton Street. This is an expansion of their services they added in Gardner. They've actually seen a substantial increase in patients as a result, and they've added 50 more jobs here in Gardner as a result of that facility. Their operations are funded annually through a federal grant. So that's why we started there. From CHC, we ended up over at Mount Wachusett Community College's automotive campus over on Linus Elaine Ave off of Betty Spring Road near Mackey Building Centers. Over there, Congresswoman Trahan presented Mount Wachusett Community College with a $350,000 grant from the National Science Foundation to fund different classroom upgrades and equipment upgrades, if you will, so that the students in the automotive tech classes can learn how to work on electric vehicles rather than just your traditional gas-powered vehicles or diesel-powered vehicles as well. This is something that's really, seen a lot of success over at Mount Wachusett Community College. 100% of the students who graduate from the automotive tech program end up actually in jobs, and some of them are already starting their jobs before they graduate because of that hands-on learning experience that the Mount is able to offer to those students. So it's great to see that program expanding. It actually had double the size of students in that program from last year to this year, let alone before this grant starts to kick in. So I want to say thank you to the Mount for their continued investment in Gardner, and thank you to Congresswoman Trahan for helping secure that funding. And then lastly, we ended up at the Gardner Municipal Airport. We'll have to stop there in one of these updates, so you'll get to see the facility there, but maybe when it's a little less snow on the ground, so you can actually see the new runway that we cut the ribbon for and had the grand reopening of the airport. It was really neat to see everyone come together from Gale Associates, the Airport Commission. We had Deputy Secretary Garcia from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. We had representatives there from the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, alongside Congresswoman Trahan, our own Airport Commission, our airport manager, Isabel Davis. It was just great to see us being able to celebrate that the runway and the taxiway are fully done, completed, reconstructed, and opened again, and the administration building is up and running again. Our goal within the next 5 to 10 years is to see if we can get a little restaurant or a coffee shop in there. But for now, at least the facility is back to being usable. So I want to say thank you to everyone who was involved in getting that project up and running so that we could have that. That was a $3.3 million project that was able to be done only because of the grants we received from the federal government and the state government and the money appropriated by the city council. For both the airport's master plan that is currently underway, parts of it are done and on the city's website, but we're still working on finishing it, and the full runway reconstruction project, the federal government paid for 90% of the project, the state government paid for 7.5% of the project, and then the city paid for the remaining 2.5%. So that was the cost share breakdown. A lot of people don't know how busy the Gardner Airport actually is. National Grid utilizes the site as a landing location for the helicopter that they own that goes to inspect all of the different electrical wires that are going down through the different transmissions mains of the electrical wires. So those big, tall structures that you see the wires running down, those have to be inspected, especially after certain windstorms. So that's actually where the helicopter goes and refuels and has their midway stop. MIT actually has a contract with the city of Gardner that they do drone testing and drone classes out of Gardner's airport. And then of course we have our regular hangar rentals and airplane tie downs for those who are coming in briefly. And then we also sell jet fuel at the site. We've taken about $130,000 a year from the airport alone. So that's really why we want to make sure we're keeping up to where we should be in that facility. We want to remind people that the presidential primary, so Super Tuesday, as some people call it, is set to take place on March 5th for both the Democratic and Republican primaries here in Massachusetts. Because of the new Votes Act that was signed into law by former Governor Charlie Baker, the city is required to do both mail-in balloting and early in-person voting for this election as well. If you are interested in voting early in person, you can go to Perry Auditorium in the rear of Gardner City Hall. The dates for early voting this year are Saturday, February 24th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then Monday, February 26th through Friday, March 1st from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Monday through Thursday and 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Friday. So regular City Hall business hours on the week of February 26th. And then we are also by law required to have Saturday, February 24th in as well. More information on that can be found on the city's website and social media platform on this flyer. So you'll be able to see that there. But again, because of the new law passed in Massachusetts, you have every right to vote by mail if you choose to. The Secretary of State's office, again, following that law, sent every registered voter in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts an application in a postcard via mail. If you'd like to vote by mail, fill that out, put it in the mail, and that actually comes to Gardner City Hall, where the city clerk's office will fully register you. You can check off just this election or every election this year. And if you check off either of those, they'll give you the ballots for either every election that'll take place in 2024 or just this election if that's the box that you checked. But again, the early in-person voting is offered as well. And the March 5th actual primary election day, we'll have our regular polling locations throughout the 5 wards. The engineering department for the city recently also put out this flyer regarding the Wayside Dam replacement project. Per the Massachusetts Environmental Protection Agency, MEPA, as we call it in City Hall, we are required to do a public comment period before the dam is replaced. This is part of the South Gardner Flood Control Plan. More information on that can be found by looking at this flyer on the city's website and social media platforms, or contacting the city engineer's office, where Rob Olive, our city engineer, will be happy to talk to you about any of the aspects of why this dam needs to be repaired, what this dam controls, and all of that sorts of matters. It's something we're doing jointly with the Army Corps of Engineers. We want to remind people about some of the things that are coming up here in the city. The Music Man is going to be performed at the Theater at the Mount on February 23rd and 24th, and March 1st and 2nd at 7:30 p.m. and March 3rd at 2 p.m. We do know that Finding Nemo is coming up at the Theater of the Mount coming later on in April as well. Tickets are on sale right now for the Music Man, and you can get that at the box office either online or in person at Mount Wachusett Community College over on Green Street. And then on Sunday, February 18th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., the PACC, the Polish American Citizens Club, is hosting a full Polish meal prepared on the premises, and each meal will include a bowl of kapusta, pierogies, golumki, and kielbasa for a price of $15. Meals will be served from 11 to 2 while supplies last, and it is cash only, drive-through service. So make sure you're checking out the PACC social media platforms for that one. The Gardner Fire Department Union is hosting a fundraiser. So Gardner Fire Department Local 2215 is asking for donations. The donations are going towards a child in the city, Henry Dernalowitz, who is battling a rare form of kidney cancer. They are selling t-shirts as part of that fundraiser. For a donation of $25, you'll actually get a t-shirt that says Gardner Fire Department on it with the ribbon for the form of cancer that little Henry is going to his chemo treatments for. You can get those at the Gardner Fire Station located at 70 City Hall Avenue between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. and all donations are donated to the family. So I want to thank the Local 2215, the Gardner Fire Department Union, for really taking a community spirit with that action there. And then we also want to let people know that there is a vigil planned for Brianna Pennington, who was the victim of the murder that took place late last year in Gardner. That vigil is set to take place on Wednesday, February 21st at 6 p.m. in Perry Auditorium at Gardner City Hall. And lastly, we're just going to close out with reminding you all that this coming Sunday, January 28th, Annunciation Parish is actually hosting a Mass for the city and our local elected officials and city workers at their Holy Spirit Church site located at 50 Metcalf Street in South Gardner. That'll take place at 4 p.m. this coming Sunday, January 28th, again at Holy Spirit Church of Annunciation Parish in South Gardner. And then lastly, as my alma mater, I want to say happy National Catholic Schools Week to all the students over at Holy Family Academy. It's a celebration that's done every year at all the Catholic parochial schools throughout the United States. So happy Catholic Schools Week. It was one of the fun weeks when we were students there. So great to see that. Now, as we do whenever we go visit a site for the update, I'm going to close by explaining where we are. We are over at the yard of the DPW, and over my shoulder you can see our DPW salt shed. So this building that's quite literally falling apart behind me is where we store all of our road salt for the city for whenever there's a winter storm event, either be it ice or snow or sleet or anything in between. We have a lot of issues with this building. Not only can you see that the walls are quite literally being propped up and are still falling apart, what you can't see is the several holes that are also in the roof. And when it rains outside, as you can imagine, water and salt don't mix well with each other, and we actually sometimes have to take equipment to break the salt up because it hardens together after it rains. It's also very small for what we need as a city. We have about 95 miles of roadway that's accepted in Gardner, and then about another 7 or so miles of unaccepted roads in Gardner. But whenever we go out to salt, we probably use this in a storm and a half, or if not 2 storms. And we try to do what we can, but it's too small for what we need. And this 45-year-old building is just had its useful life. I do have a proposal going before the City Council at their next meeting to fund the construction of a new salt shed. It's going to cost us around $625,000 due to all the different requirements, because salt is a very corrosive substance, so you have to have it made of something that's not going to be eaten away by the salt. But we're also going to be locating it across the street from the DPW behind Salvador Auto and a plot of land that the city already owns, so that we can build a shed that actually meets our city's needs, and we don't have to worry about the salt dissolving in the rain before we can actually put it out on the streets themselves. So I wanted you to be able to see why it is that that's a capital investment that we're going to be making here in Gardner, because the stuff that we put on the roads really is part of our safety plan whenever we have a winter weather event like that. And if our roads aren't safe for our drivers out there, it becomes a problem for us. So this really is a large safety measure for the city to look to undertake. I don't think we're going to be able to get another winter out of this building before it collapses on itself, and we just need to really just get this done and rip the Band-Aid off and get to the work that we actually need to do. So more information on that will be coming at the upcoming City Council meeting with the proposal I'll be putting before the City Council. The request is to pay for it out of the city's stabilization account, where we currently have about $3.7 million saved up in our city savings account there. My goal right now is to wait and see what our winter is going to be like. We don't know how much we're going to be spending in our snow and ice removal costs, in purchasing salt, the gasoline used to run the plows, the time used for our employees who are driving those plows, the contractors' cost of doing the city's lots. We normally spend around $500,000, but last year was closer to $800,000 in just plowing costs for the year. So where we don't know what's going to come out of the sky just yet, and we're still in the heart of winter, the request is to take that money out of the city's stabilization account, and then once we hit spring and we're really done with all of our snow events, see what we have left in our free cash allotment. Again, that's the extra funding that we have left over from last year that we can use for certain one-time projects, and then replenish the stabilization account and deposit an equivalent amount of money into that. And if we don't have that much left over because we had a pretty rough winter from here on out, at least come up with a plan so that we can replenish that money in the long run. But this is really something we need to do now, and with the lead up times for construction, it's something that we really do have to start now so that we're ready come time for next winter time. So that's why we're over here at the DPW, and if any questions on that, you can call my office, you can call here at the DPW, and we're happy to explain that for you. That concludes this week's Mayor's Update. If you have questions on anything that was talked about at all today, you can contact my office at any time, and I'll be looking forward to speaking with you again next week. Thank you very much, and have a great day.